Hey y'all, it's Happy Go. I'm Hannah, and this is where I make happy things and try to help you live a happy creative life. This video is the next video in my series about how to sell art at conventions and artist alleys and pop culture events, things like that. This video is specifically about what you should bring to the convention. I've been selling my art at conventions for about 5 years, so this is a list of things that I personally find helpful to bring to conventions. The first one seems kind of obvious, but plenty of merchandise. It's never a good idea to bring a small amount of merchandise on purpose, knowing that you might sell out. It's tricky to gauge how much merch to bring on the first try. I think the first show I did, I brought way too many prints. But the next show I did, which was a much bigger show, I didn't bring enough of a lot of things, so I sold out of things by the second day. But after a few shows, you kind of start to get the hang of it on how much to bring. The second thing I would say is business cards. Also seems kind of obvious, but the biggest note that I would make about business cards, and they don't have to be fancy, I just get mine through, I think, Vistaprint. The biggest note I have about that is anytime someone makes a purchase, it's important to make sure that they got a business card, especially if you don't have your information, like, I don't know, on the back of your prints. When they get home and they look at the art they bought that day, they're gonna have no idea who drew that. The next thing I'd recommend would be portable chargers for your devices, like phones. Some big conventions do have access to like outlets, but you usually have to pay an extra fee to have that set up at your booth. And for me, the only devices I use through the whole convention are my phone and my tablet, so if I bring a couple portable chargers, I'm good for the whole show. It's also important to bring a card reader of some sort. I know some artists do rely more heavily on taking cash at shows. Personally, I don't like to take cash for purchases at shows. I use a Square reader, which connects really easily to my tablet via Bluetooth. I've never had any problems with it, and I don't have to go through the hassle of bringing change. With that in mind, I think it's also important to bring some cash for yourself, just in case food vendors or parking require cash. I'd say you should also bring Post-it notes and pens, maybe tape, because throughout the show you might have to make notes on your table. If I am starting to sell out of something, I'll make a note on a Post-it note and put on it like, this is the last one. So that's helpful to be able to do. Food and water is a huge one. I talked about it in my first video, but I want to make another note here. It's so nice, so convenient to have food with me at my table. I have a cooler bag that I bring with me to shows, and I'll keep sandwiches and snacks in there so I can eat throughout the day. And water, very important to stay hydrated. If you're prone to headaches, it's also probably a good idea to bring like headache medicine or medicine in general. If you take medication throughout the day, don't forget to bring that. If you feel so inclined, you could also bring like small first aid stuff like band-aids. You never know. I also recommend bringing hand sanitizer to a convention. It's not super important, but it certainly gives me peace of mind anytime after I interact with someone to be able to sanitize my hands. I don't keep it on the table to the point where people passing by stop and take some of my hand sanitizer. I'll like keep it behind the table, but I find it really nice to have that at my table. Another thing to keep in mind is the temperature of the convention floor can vary a lot. When you go to set up, it might be cold in there, but then halfway through the first day, once the convention is full of attendees, it might be too warm, so it's important to wear layers. If you have long hair, you know, bring a hair tie just in case you need to put your hair up. That's also something to keep in mind. I'd also say wear comfortable shoes. Even though your table will probably have chairs, I'm usually standing at a convention, especially as people are walking by. It's easier to talk to them at eye level. It's just nicer to do that. So I always make sure to wear comfortable shoes. I mentioned briefly in my last video that there's a chance the show could be pretty slow. So consider maybe bringing a book or something to do when there's a lull in traffic. Of course, bring a buddy, someone to run the table with you. Very important for so many reasons. In general, when preparing for each day of convention, just keep in mind that you won't be able to just swing home to pick something up if you forgot it. These are things that I usually bring to a convention, things that I find helpful. If you found this video helpful, or you have any questions about what it's like to sell art at conventions, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! I also want to give a shout out to my awesome supporters on Ko-fi. Thank you so much. You make this possible.